Middle School, Get Me Out of Here by James Patterson. Chapter 29. Leo Turns Up the Heat. I'm not saying 5 C's and a B- make me some sort of genius, but those are the best grades I've ever gotten. With Mom home all the time, she was around to help me with my homework and to make sure I did all my assignments, whether I wanted to or not. And Operation Get a Life was going even better. By the time report cards came out, I had 58 things on my list, with 137 to go. I figured I must be doing something right, but Leo figured otherwise. You've got to step this mission up, he told me. It's time to start thinking bigger. What are you talking about? I said. I've got this whole huge list already. It's called Operation Get a Life, not Operation Get a List. Most of that stuff is just about classes you have to get to anyway. And walking around the city on a leash with Mom. You're not even trying to make this interesting. Oh man, here we go, I said. This is what Leo does. He calls it making things interesting, but I call it a pain in the butt. New rule, he said. From now on, you have to do at least one really big thing for every 10 little things. And no more credit for the little stuff until you do. Hang on, what counts as a big thing? I said. Of course, he had an answer. He always does. For starters, it has to be something you'll remember doing for the rest of your life, he said. Oh, that's all? No, actually, it also can't be anything you do at school. And there can't be some adult looking over your shoulder while you're doing it. On top of all that, I still had the no hurt rule to worry about. And none of this stuff could cost money either, because I didn't have any. Still, Leo had a point. If this mission was going to be worth doing, I needed to do it right. It was time to step up my game. I just didn't have any clue what was going to look like yet. And then a few days later, Miss Ling gave us the junk sculpture assignment. Chapter 30. Another way of looking at it. Take a look at this, Mrs. Ling said, and showed us a picture of an old garbage can. And now this, and this, and this. Quite often, the artist's job is to show the world something familiar, but in a whole new way, she said. That's your assignment for this week. I want you all to take at least one object that might look like junk to anybody else and give it a new life as art. I guess I'd been going to cathedral long enough now, because I actually understood what Miss Ling was talking about. I liked the idea of something, a whole new life, giving something a whole new life. Kind of what I was trying to do with me these days. As usual, I was sitting in the back with Maddie. He was already sketching ideas like crazy, but then he scribbled something in the corner of his page, tore it up, and passed it to me. Dumpster diving, 3 o'clock. I know where we can go. After class, there were a bunch of places where he knew people threw away good junk all the time. And we can just take it, I said. Are you sure? Relax. We're looking for garbage, not robbing a bank, he said. You worry too much. You know that? I thought it was kind of funny, since most people think I don't worry enough. Still, he let me use his phone to call Mom. I told her I was going to be working on an art assignment after school, and she was all over it. She just asked if I wanted to her to come pick me up later. I'll take the bus, I said. Technically, there weren't any lies in there. I just left out the part where I was going to be, partly because I didn't think Mom would like it, and partly because I didn't know. I wasn't even sure what dumpster diving was exactly. But it sounded like fun. It also sounded like the kind of thing Leo thought I needed more of for my list. And it was. Chapter 31. Welcome to dumpster diving. Now, this is more like it. Alright. We're going to read one more chapter. Chapter 32. The big picture. When I got home that night, the first thing I thought was, holy cow, we've been robbed! The closet in the front hall was hanging open. There was stuff all over the floor, and Grandma's place looked like a wreck. Well, even more of a wreck than usual. Rafe, is that you? Mom yelled. We're back here! I followed a trail of stuff like Hansel and Gretel found those breadcrumbs and found everyone in the kitchen. Mom was shoving piles of newspaper in a garbage bag. Georgia was clomping around a big pair of high-heeled shoes, and Grandma was at the table looking through a bunch of old pictures in a shoebox. What's going on? I said. Spring cleaning, Grandma said, even though it was only November. It's time we emptied some of these closets and made a little room for you and these three around here. I guess that was supposed to be good news. I've been using my suitcase as a dresser, and most of our stuff was still in that storage locker at Hills Village. But actually, it wasn't good news at all. Ever since we moved to the city, Mom had been talking about finding a new job. First, then, at a bigger place for all four of us to live. But so far, no job. And now it seemed like we weren't going anywhere soon. I could tell Mom was thinking the same thing by just looking at her. Hey kiddos, have I ever showed you my old photos? Grandma said. Come over here and take a walk down memory lane. See what a cute baby your mom was. Georgia went over to see, but I was still watching Mom, the way she kept stuffing more paper into that bag. I thought I was going to break right open. Here's another good one, Grandma said. Jules, take a look. It's you and Ralph in front of Harry's place. That got my attention. I thought Grandma meant me when he said Ralph. But then I saw the picture. Who's that? Said Georgia. It's Dad, I told her. I guess we wouldn't even remember what Dad looked like, except I thought his name was Luca. It is, Mom said. She was still cleaning, and she never looked at the picture even once. Ralph's his middle name. Oh, I said. I didn't know that, but it did explain a few things, like why Grandma kept calling me that. So maybe she was only some sort of crazy and not completely mashed potatoes. In the picture, my father had his arm around Mom, and it looked like they were still in high school. I'd never seen this one before. Actually, I'd never seen many pictures of my father, period. I think Mom threw all of them away when he left. We hardly ever talked about him anymore. It was kind of a touchy subject. And whenever I used to ask, Mom would always say the same thing. That's a short story. After a while, I got the hint and stopped asking. Basically, the story went like this. My father left when I was around 4, and Georgia was 2. That was about a year after Leo died. Once he was gone, we never heard from him again. End of story. Until now, anyway. Did you know Harry's still in business? Grandma said to Mom. All the way over there in Clomit Avenue. At first, Mom looked like she was going to say something. But then she set down the garbage bag, took a deep breath, and walked out of the kitchen. A few seconds later, I heard the bathroom door close upstairs. What just happened? Georgia asked. Is she mad about something? Grandma pulled Georgia up onto her lap. I think your mom's having a bad day, she said. That's all. But that wasn't all. Not for me, anyway. I was pretty sure I'd just figured out what my next big thing was going to be, and Harry seemed like a pretty good place to start. We're going to stop reading. See you guys next time for chapter 33 and more.